All right, Shalom Israel. This Israelite School of UPK started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. And the commander, Julian Hunt, I'm preaching officer 500 Natazab, ISUBK Sacramento, ISUBK NorCal. Today is Wednesday night biblical law class. You understand? Every Wednesday we go into the law. You understand? It's over 613 laws in the Bible, so that, you know, these classes ain't gonna never end. So we always gonna teach these classes. If you got any questions, man, make sure you put your questions in the chat. Y'all shout out all the brothers. Y'all shout out the sisters. Like I said, man, it's the Wednesday night biblical law class. Hey, Shalom Christ, sir. Y'all uh, you know, um, so today's topic we're gonna get into tithes. So we're gonna get into tithes and show you, and I'm gonna show you that tithes is not corn and mangoes and cucumbers and whatever the hell else you growing in your backyard garden. You understand? And the reason why you think that tithes is fruit and vegetables because you don't understand industry. You understand? So yeah, we're gonna get into it. And and also, man, the Christian church. Another reason why you don't understand tithes because the Christian church don't really. They like nobody has a problem when I HBK ask brothers or tell brothers that it's a law that you pay tithes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a problem with that. Oh yeah, y'all 501c3 or y'all paying tithes and look, I ain't never seen Commander Junior Hana in no sports car. You understand? I ain't never seen Commander Junior Hana with any, and let alone a Rolex. I ain't never seen him with no jewelry on at all. You know what I mean? I ain't never seen Commander Junior Hana go buy a big giant house and you know what I mean. He getting it off. The leader that we have doesn't. He's not like your Christian pastor. You understand? And like I said, the reason why you don't understand tithes because I understand because you don't understand how somebody can get rich off his congregation and then you pulling up to this congregation. You've been going here for 20, 30 years, and you pulling up in a Cadillac. You got a donut on the back. You don't eat, and then you know what I'm saying. You see him pull up. They got a goddamn red carpet all the way up to his door. And he pulling up in a Lamborghini truck. And then, once you start to wake up to the truth, you don't understand how is this possible when your congregation is starving, your congregation is homeless. You understand? Don't have anything, and you pulling up all glories like that. So I can see why you don't understand. But tithes is a law according to the Bible. It's against the law for you not to pay tithes. You understand? But you got to understand, you can't pay tithes to anybody because they picked up a Bible and started so-called teaching you about God. Tithes are supposed to go to the priest. You understand? And your Christian pastor is not a goddamn priest. So we gonna get into it. We gonna show you. You know what I'm saying? Like you have no problem with paying the government, but you don't want to pay the government of Israel, which is the ISUBK. You ain't got you got a problem doing that, but you ain't got a problem with paying the government. You understand? Traffic tickets and debt. You don't got no problem paying all that, but you don't want to come to paying the priest of the Lord. You don't want to do that. You understand? But I understand. But we gonna go to let's go to Second Maccabees, the third chapter. Let's go to Second Maccabees, the third chapter. And like I said, man, you got any questions, man? Make sure you put your questions in the chat. If I can't answer the question because I don't know, then I will get back to you next week. Or I will ask while I'm inside the class, ask somebody above me. You know what I'm saying? To break the scripture down and I can give you the information. You know what I mean? We go to Second Maccabees 3, chapter 3 of verse 1. That's where we're going to start. All right? Okay. Second Maccabees chapter 3 verse 1. Now when the holy city was inhabited with all peace and the laws were kept very well because of the godliness of Onias the high priest and his hatred of wickedness, it came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gifts, right? Because he is a priest, you understand, and can the priests are supposed to get not gifts, but they supposed to get they 10%, right? And it said even the kings themselves did honor the palace and magnify the temple with their best gifts. in so much that Seleucus of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the costs belonging to the service of the sacrifice. I mean, it's like of the sacrifices. You know why? Because we talk, and this is you understand. What we talking about right here, we talking about commerce. We talking about finance. You understand? Because this is what priests get. Priests get um, a salary. That's what the 10% is. Priest get is supposed to get a salary. So right here in this chapter, we talking about commerce and we talking about finance. You understand? You got, and let me see where we at, verse 4. Because let's keep reading before I jump into it. But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city. And why did they fall out? Anytime you have any type of schisms or somebody's falling out or going to do their own thing, it's because of a lack of brotherhood. You understand? This brother fell out with Onias because he had a lack of brotherhood. Because it just told you when we just read the first chapter, it said, now when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well because of the godliness of Onias, the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness. So we just read that everything was going well. You understand? Everything was running like a well-oiled machine. When nobody sinning against God because of Onias' hatred against wickedness. But then you had other brothers that we dropped down, and it said, but one of Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city. And like I said, like they fell out because of a lack of brotherhood. You understand? Let's keep going. Um, Verse 5. And when he could not overcome Onias, he gat him to Apollonius, the son of Tharsis, who then was governor of Celesyria in Phoenice, and told him that the treasury, remember that, and told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money. You see that? And why they say that the priest is handling this? It's saying it's because priests handle this business. You understand? And what did it say that the priest was handling? And told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money, so that the multitude of their riches, which did not pertain to the account of sacrifices, was innumerable, and that it was possible to bring it all into the king. So what are we talking about right here? We're not talking about corn. We're not talking about lettuce and grapes and whatever the hell you got growing in your backyard that you assume is tithes. It said we're talking about money. Let's read it again. And he told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money. The treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money. It's not talking about your grapes and mangoes and all that. It's not talking about that. You understand? It's not talking about and you know what the real problem is? Like Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, man, we so used to being consumers, and we so accustomed with being consumers and spending and not get nothing in return. We don't understand industry. We don't understand commerce. You understand? We don't understand these things. Like we so used to being fed. We so used to being consumers that we don't understand industry. You know what I'm saying? What it say? Infinite sums of money. Right. It was infinite sums of money, and we don't know how to run a nation based off agriculture. You understand? Like right now, we live in a post industrial, but I mean, like, we live in a post industrial society. Like prior to the industrial revolution, everything was ran off agriculture and ran off skilled labor. You understand? Prior to the industrial revolution, everything was ran off that. But now we don't understand that because of the type of society that we live in. You understand? Like when you think of ties, you think of the garden in your goddamn backyard. You know what I mean? You think the garden that grandma, but like my grandma growing a garden. You know what I mean? And look, she got cucumbers growing back there. She got um what's that slimy vegetable? Salakia. Um, damn, I forgot the name of it. But she got a few things. She got tomatoes going back there, cucumbers, She got just a variety of things going. But when people think of tithes, they think of a garden. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna keep on reading. We're gonna keep on reading. Let's see. Okay, let me see where I'm going. But so remember, we just read that it said that the temple in Jerusalem was filled with infinite sums of money that the high priest was dealing with, right? All right, so now let's drop that. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6 and 21. And like I said, man, we don't understand um, agriculture. We don't understand we don't understand industry because we so used to being consumers and spending money. You know what I'm saying? We don't know like we don't know that when you grow something at the magnitude that brothers and sisters was growing stuff inside during Moses' time, who was in the wilderness. That's not you don't grow something to eat at that magnitude. You grow it to sell it. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes economics. You know what I'm saying? And you start getting into all that. But like I said, when you think of tithes, you think of your grandma's backyard. That when you tithes is not talking about fruit, because then how are you going to pay the priest? How are you gonna pay the normal people in society? You gonna pay them with corn? You gonna pay them with vegetables? No, man, that's not what it's talking about. And like I said, you gotta understand that when we was in the wilderness, there was no civilization in the wilderness, and that's why the people was complaining all the goddamn time because there was no civilization in the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? Where's our money? Where's our water and food gonna come from? The Most High got quail coming from the sky. Moses busting open rocks to get the water. We was living in hell, and that's when Moses started showing us like when you read post Exodus and everything after Exodus, Moses is showing us how to build a government. That's the whole us being in the wilderness, especially being there that long, was Moses showing us how to build a government. But you don't know how to build a government being in a Christian church. You don't know how to build a government being inside Islam or being inside these religions or all these pro-black and these black groups. You don't understand how to build a government. You understand? You understand how to be like your Christian pastor and be all for self. Like I said, I ain't never seen Commander United. I didn't pull up in a Rolls Royce. You understand? But you will see that with your Christian pastor. You understand? And matter of fact, let me keep on reading. So like y'all wouldn't even done. I stopped at 7. It said, now we still in Maccabees, the second chapter, 3 verse 7. It said, now when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him of the money, see, we talking about money right now. We're not talking about vegetables. We're not talking about grapes. Like everybody like to say, man, they want you to pay tithes. Tithes is vegetables and fruit. No, it's not. Because we just read that this was what was in the temple of money. Infinite sums of money. And we're going to figure out why it was infinite sums of money and how it got there. All right. Now, when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him of the money whereof he was told, the king chose out whereof he was told. The king chose out Heliodorus, his treasurer, and sent him with a commandment to bring him the foresaid money. Right, he sent him with the commandment to bring the foresaid money. He didn't send him with the commandment to bring fruit and vegetables. Let's keep reading. So forward, Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Celesyria for Nice, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose. Let's keep reading. And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given of the money, and declared wherefore he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. You see that? That's what the money in the sanctuary in the temple was for. Right now we're reading about the shekel of the sanctuary, and what this money was for. This money in the temple, these tithes that brothers paid, it was for what? Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. You know that's what the that's what tithes is for. That's why the temple had an infinite sums of money inside the temple. Why? Because it wasn't for one person to get rich like your Christian pastor. Like it was just a Christian pastor a few weeks ago, or getting mad at his congregation because he couldn't afford some special watch that cost thousands of dollars. We got another Christian pastor that just got robbed inside the church while he was giving this little sermon. They didn't run in there and robbed him and tied him up and all that in front of his kids, whatever they did to him, and took all his money. And then meanwhile, come to find out that he didn't rob somebody in his congregation for thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Like the money that was in the sanctuary, that was in the temple, it wasn't for one individual to get rich. The men back then was righteous, and guess what? Commander Jihana is the same way. We don't have to worry about the people that's in our treasury department are doing all that, taking the money and we seeing them live as lavishly while we struggling every goddamn day. What did it say what the money was for? Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. So it was money put up, and it was for the relief of widows and fatherless children. That's what that money is for. That's why when the Haitians was fleeing Haiti because of crime and being impoverished, and they ended up under a bridge in Texas. That's what Commander Gianna did. He sent brothers down there in the level 4 zone. You know what I'm saying? Where the cartel is heavy at. And guess what? He gave brothers food, and brothers and sisters food, water, toiletries. You understand? Hygienes. They gave them everything while they was under there. You know what I mean? You know why? Because he understands, and we understand what that money is for. You understand? Slovakia, 1969. All right, so let's keep reading. And it said, and the same of it belonged to Hyrcanus, son of Tobias, a man of great dignity, not as that wicked Simon had misinformed. The sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver and 200 of gold. So now you see that we dealing with silver and gold. The priest was dealing with silver and with gold. You understand? And now, so now we're gonna get into how all this started. But peep that though. Everybody want to talk about tithes as fruit and vegetables. We just read that it was money. It was silver and gold. You understand? You know why? Because first it started off like first, okay, the oldest form of trade is the barter system. Whereas where you got some type of vegetable that I want, and then I got some type of tomato or some fruit that you want, and then we trade evenly. You know what I'm saying? That's why they think that tithes is fruit. But that was the oldest thing of trade right there. It's called the barter system. But that's what peasants do. Moses was building a government and building a society where we didn't function as peasants, and that's why it went from fruit to what the shekel of the sanctuary, like a weight shekel, meaning that they'd have like a silver coin or a gold coin that was a certain type of shape and it weighed a certain much, and then that determined, okay, this fruit is worth this many shekels. This fruit, it went from that to a script to money that you see today. You understand? Like Black, Hispanic, Native American Indians, we refined the whole way of how people do business. You understand? We refined. So let me open this phone again. All right. But just keep in mind that we talking about money, man. We ain't talking about fruit and vegetables and all that garbage that you be learning from these fake Israelite groups and all that. You understand? All right. So let me see what we got. All right. So let's go to Matthew 6:1. And like I said, man, like in the wilderness, Moses was establishing a government. That's what Moses was doing. Man, they keep on hitting me. It's like it, y'all. Moses was establishing a government, man, and because we didn't have a civilization in the wilderness. So Moses was showing us what to do and how to do it once we get to the promised land. That's what Moses was doing. We was in the wilderness for 40 years, and while we was there, Moses was showing us how to build a society and build a government, a moral civilization. You understand? And the like I said, the oldest form of trade was the barter system. I got some type of fruit you want, you got some type of vegetables I want, and then we trade like that. But then, like I said, that's how peasants used to get down. Peasants do that. We're not a nation of peasants. We're a nation of kings and priests. You understand what I'm saying? That's what type of nation that we is, and like I said, that was called the barter system. And while we was in the wilderness, Moses stopped that, and Moses established trade and commerce, and that's why I went from the script to coin to a shekel, which was a certain amount of weight. You understand? So let's get that again. Let's get Matthew 6:21. Matthew chapter 6 verse 21. Slovakia, we find in Matthew 6:21. Yeah, but he wasn't talking. The law wasn't talking about your garden. You know what I'm saying? That's not what the Lord was talking about. Matthew 6:21. All right. Matthew chapter 6, verse 20. And then this is another thing too. Like look up. Um, if you might got a chance, look up um the average size of a vineyard. That look up the average size of a vineyard right quick. And somebody give me the answer in the chat box, because it was talking about that a lot of people think tithes is fruit and all that. And they was talking about and anytime they was talking about tithes, they always talk about vineyards and the wine press. So look up a vineyard and see what the average size of a vineyard was back then, and then we gonna really get into it. And also, man, make sure you put your name, city, and state, so I can mark you down for attendance. Like, share, and subscribe. IHBK Sacramento. It's very important. And if you don't know, then I'm gonna just give it to you. Anybody in there, just take a guess. What you think the average size of a vineyard was back then? Does anybody know? Let's see. Okay, nobody want to comment? All right, no sweat. The average size of a vineyard back then was 80 to 100 acres. And what the hell is my Facebook at? I guess it's gone. So. Yeah, the average size of a vineyard was 80 to 100 acres. Like you don't grow something in that magnitude just to eat. You know what I mean? You don't grow something. You don't grow something in that magnitude just to, what I'm saying, just to eat and make some grape juice, and you know what I mean. No, you don't. That's no. You grow something with something 100 to 80 to 100 acres. That's a lot. We talking about millions of grapes. We talking about millions of grapes, and when you grow at that magnitude, you grow to for a profit. That's the whole purpose of you growing a vineyard. You grow a vineyard at that magnitude to make a profit. You know what I mean? You grow some at that magnitude. You know what I'm saying? Or you sell your grapes at that magnitude to a winery. You know what I'm saying? Or to a vineyard. You sell it to make a profit. You know what I'm saying? You don't grow food in that magnitude just to eat. It becomes an industry. You understand? And like I said, prior to the post-industrial revolution, everything was ran off agriculture. You got to keep that in mind. And when you grow something at that magnitude, you don't grow it just to eat and just have. You grow it, you know what I'm saying, for a profit. And it becomes an industry. And this is what Moses was showing us and telling us in the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? And we going to get it in just a second. Let me see. Okay, let's go to Matthew 6 and 21. My bad, I've been stalling now. Matthew 6 and 21. Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Right, man. Whatever you like, you got no problems with spending your money on weed. You ain't got no problem with spending your money on shoes, or on fantasy football, basketball. You ain't got no problem spending your money on cars. You understand? But when it comes to spending your money on what it's supposed to and giving the Lord His cut, then it's a problem. You understand? And what did the scripture say? For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Man, if you don't pay tithes, whatever if you spend money on weed, that's where your heart is. You love weed more than God. If you spend money on shoes and clothes, you know what I'm saying? That's where your heart is. You love that more than God. You know what I mean? If you out here spending, especially women out here getting butt lifts, Brazilian BBWs and all that, you love that more than God. You know what I mean? Men out here, you out here buying $1,300 Balenciagas, and you out here pulling up in a scat pack. And you ain't getting the Lord His 10%. You love that scat pack more than God. That's what this scripture is talking about. Wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And the IHBK, our treasure is the IHBK. That's why we give the Lord His 10%. Why? Because it doesn't belong to us, and we understand what the shekel of the sanctuary is for. It's for the fatherless. It is for the widows. You understand? And and a lot of y'all who think it's fruit, a lot of y'all half the time y'all don't even grow nothing to give it to anybody in the goddamn first place. Like, it's fruit, it's vegetables, man. You don't even grow nothing anyways to give to anybody, dummy. So what are you talking about? Yeah, but you're the truth. I understand. You understand? I definitely understand. Um, right. Okay. So, all right. So yeah, man. Wherever your heart is, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart gonna be. All right. So now we gonna get into it. Let's drop that and let's get Numbers chapter 18 and 21. All right. Numbers chapter 18 verse 21. Okay. Numbers chapter 18 verse 21. Numbers chapter 18 verse 21. And and this is another thing too. This is what y'all gotta understand. If like I said, a lot of y'all don't even grow fruit or anything in the first place to be saying that it's not money. You know what I mean? 'Cause we just talked about the shekel of the sanctuary. Y'all don't even grow anyways. And then on top of that, the if the law endure forever, you understand? Because they will teach that the law endure. If the law endure forever, then guess what also endures? The priesthood endures forever. So if you don't have any priests that you paying tithes to, then are you really in the truth? Are you really keeping the law? Because if the laws are forever, if the law endure forever, like I said, Luke 4:1, then guess what? The priesthood also endures forever. So who the hell are you paying tithes to? You know what I mean? You got to really question that. So let's drop that. Let's get Numbers chapter 18 verse 21. Numbers chapter 18, 21. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance. Why? So now this was the and why this is important, because this was the priesthood of Israel, of the Israelites, of the nation of Israel. This was the priesthood right here. Let's read it again. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And why is the tenth going to Levi? Because Levi wasn't given an inheritance. What is an inheritance according to the Bible? An inheritance according to the Bible is land. That's what an inheritance is. That's why when you look at an old map of Israel, you see it say Benjamin, Levi, Naphtali, Reuben, Asher. You know what I'm saying? Judah. But Levi didn't have an inheritance. He wasn't inherited any land. So the Lord said he was going to get a tenth part of everybody from the land, from each tribe. He got to get a tenth from each tribe. You know what I mean? And that was his inheritance. That was his salary. You understand? Because he had a job to do as a priest. All right. I said, neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh to the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacles of the congregation, and they shall bear the iniquity. Uh, it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. Right, and we're supposed to pay a 10% to them forever throughout all our generations. Because why? Because they don't have an inheritance. They wasn't given any land where they could just grow their own vineyards and just, you know, create their own industry. It's like it. They wasn't given that inheritance. So their inheritance and their salary was all the 12 tribes of Israel giving them 10%. You know what I mean? That was his their salary. All right. It said, but the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as a heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance. Right, they shall have no inheritance because they wasn't given an inheritance. So now they're getting this 10%. All right. Um, let's keep reading. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when ye take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance. See, that's what tithes is for. It's for the inheritance to the priests, because they wasn't given an inheritance. Then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Lord, even a tenth part of the tithes. Right. And what is this talking about? This is, oh, let me see, hold on. Right, and they're supposed to offer up a tenth part of that offering to the Lord, meaning like a 10%, even a tenth of that goes to the Lord. He reading, and uh, and this your it's like it, and this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were corn or the fleshing floor, as the fullness of the winepress. And what is this talking about? What is this? Why is it saying as though it were the corn of the fleshing floor, and as the fullness of the wine press? Because it's talking about money. That's how it's talking about industry. What they were supposed to do is take that, take those that corn and that those grapes, and they supposed to give it was supposed to turn into uh, money. This is where you get money changers from. You understand? Let's keep reading. What was that? Okay, 28. Let's say, does she also, let's say, thus she also shall offer an heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel, and ye shall give therefore the Lord's heave offering to Aaron the high priest. Right, so even the priest had to pay tithes to the high priest, because Aaron was a high priest. You know what I'm saying? It said even the priest under him had to pay tithes to him. You understand? And guess what? This was his salary. And this was Moses establishing moral order. This was Moses getting rid of the barter system. Why? Because we don't need to trade fruits and vegetables like peons anymore. You understand? We don't need to do that no more. All right. And they said, let's keep reading. Um, Matter of fact, let's drop that and let's get Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Let's get Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Let's get Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Yep, Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Right, and then they had to pay the priest had to pay the high priest. All right, so let's now we start to get into it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 14 and 22. It says, "Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed that the field bringeth forth year by year. You see that it said we supposed to tithe everything that our field bring forth year by year. All right. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn and of thy wine and of thy oil and the firstlings of thy herd and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God. See, what is this talking about right here? You know what I'm saying? This is, like I said, this is Moses ending the barter system and establishing moral order. You know what I'm saying, on what we're supposed to do when we get to the promised land. Let's read 23 again. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. Talking about the promised land. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and thine oil, thy firstling. What are you talking about? The tithe of thy oil and thy wine and thy firstling. It's talking about a 10%. You know what I'm saying? A 10% of all that is supposed to go to the priest. All right. And but you know, Captain Zaryak sell oil. If he just give you the oil, then he's not gonna make anything. You know what I'm saying? It's commerce, man. And that's what you gotta understand. We talking about commerce right now. And 24. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, why this is important? Why does the length of the journey matter? Why does the length of the journey matter? The length of the journey matters because if you go somewhere, okay, if you plant a vineyard, right, which is 80 to 100 acres long, and you get all those millions of grapes from that vineyard, and you traveling, and the length of the journey is too long, then guess what? The priest ain't gonna be able to use that. They're not gonna be able to use the corn that you was growing, or they're not gonna be able to use the grapes that you was growing. You understand? They're not gonna be able to use it because why? Food decays over time. Like right now, we got refrigerators. You understand? We got refrigerators and freezers, so you're able to preserve the fruit and vegetables and all that for a little longer. But back then, we didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? So it went bad fast, and if it went bad, guess what? The priest wasn't able to use it. You understand? And let's keep going. So so now let's see what Moses say. All right. And it said, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then thou shalt turn it into money. You see that? Because if you got a grapes and you finally get to where you're going, and then a majority of the grapes spoiled, and nobody's able to use that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's able to use it because it's bad. You've been traveling for 3-4 days, and what it in a goddamn bag is bad. It's not fresh anymore. So what he said, then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shalt go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. You see that? They say you shall bind it into money. So this was Moses ending the barter system. People trading fruit for fruit and vegetables for that. That's no longer. Peasants move like that. Moses stopped that. That's why he said, turn it into money. And why is that important? Because nations in different areas had different forms of money. They had different forms of currency depending on where you was at. Just like America had different forms of money and had different currencies in different states and stuff. Back then, when America was first started, they had different forms of money, and in different states they had different forms of currency until it became the United States and they got regulated. And it's the same thing with Europe. Europe had what is it called? The rubles. They had the rubles until they all came together and started using the euro, and then regulated what it was. You understand? So like it. So let's keep going. Let's see. And it said, let's read it again. Thou shalt turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand. Right, and why it's also saying is because, like I said, in different nations, and depending on where you was at, you had different forms of currency, and the value of it wasn't the same as where it will be in wherever you was at. Like I'm like, for example, if I had, I'm saying a couple dollars, and then I went to Texas, this same $5 bill is not worth the same in Texas. Or just for example, like if I take some money right now, take $100 bill and I go to Mexico, this money is not the same amount in Mexico. You understand? And this is where you get money changers from. You understand? The money you made outside of Jerusalem, it probably would be different from the money that you made inside of Jerusalem. You understand? And this is where you get money changers from. This is exactly where it comes from. And contrary to popular belief, what you learn in the Christian church, you learn because everybody familiar with the story with Christ kicking the money changers out of the temple. But you know what? Christ kicked the money changers out of the temple. Why? Because he said they were thieves. They were stealing. That's why Christ kicked them out the temple, because they was in there stealing, and they was doing exactly what your Christian pastor do. You understand? They was doing exactly what your Christian pastor do, taking the money and wasn't looking out for the people. They wasn't exchanging the money how they was supposed to be exchanging, and they were stealing from the people. They were stealing from the Lord. And that's why Christ kicked them out of the temple. He didn't kick them out of the temple because having money changers was something wrong. That's our culture to have money changers. We agree. You understand? That's why I said what? He said, then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shalt go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Right. This is where money exchangers come from. They come from the Bible, because the value of what you was bringing to be exchanged in the commerce is the value of the product. If you get what I'm saying. Like the value of what you was bringing is different somewhere else. So they have to value it a different way, and that's where you get the weight system from. You know what I mean? Like you will put you like something to be valued at this price somewhere else, but in your city it might be valued at this price. So then what y'all do is y'all put the money on the scale, or the shekels on the scale, or the coins on the scale, until it's evenly, to where nobody is getting over on each other. You know what I mean? That's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, this is Moses ending the barter system, and this is where you get appraisals from. This is where you get what's it called, the Carfax from. You know what I mean? The estimate of your car, your house, you get that from the Bible, from having money changers, money exchangers. You understand? To value the price. That's where they get this. That's where they get it from. We think the Jewish man started the whole banking system. Where do you think that he got that from? He got that from the Bible. You understand? Everything he do, they got that from the Bible, man. Now we can take this Bible, and we can take everything that's written in this Bible, especially in Leviticus and in Deuteronomy and Exodus, and we can go in the wilderness right now, and we'll start a whole society. We'll start a whole banking system, economic society, and trading and commerce, and you know what I'm saying. We start that right now. You know why? Because it's in the Bible. The Bible tells you how to do this, and then people think the Bible is fake. They think it's a goddamn novel or fairy tale book. No, this is Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans Constitution. This is our history. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Moses was creating a society. He was creating a government in the wilderness before we got to where we was going, showing us how we supposed to deal with this, how we supposed to deal with trade, and you know what I'm saying, how we supposed to deal with each other while trading, and how we not supposed to get over on each other. You understand? And that's why. And I'm gonna say, um, I'm just getting into it in a second. But yeah, Moses was ending the barter system, and 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 he made an economy by doing that. He created an economy by ending the barter system and bringing in money and money exchangers. All right, so let's keep reading. Let's go to 26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusted after, for oxen or for sheep. Right. It said, and you could take that money that you get, and you can get whatever the hell you want to get with that money. Why? And it said oxen or sheep, and all that. Because you know why? Because what do people get oxen for? Money. What do people get sheep for? They get it for money, or for the wine, or for strong drink, or for whatever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice thy household. Why? And why should them in the household rejoice? Because they was getting the money. They was getting their salary, 10%. All right. So let me see where we at right now. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 27 and verse 1. Let's go to Leviticus 27 and 1. And all this is important, man, because you got people out there that tell you that tithes is fruit. They crazy. They teaching people that tithes is fruit, covers and tomatoes and potatoes. It's not no goddamn tithes. You know how the hell you supposed to? The priest got a whole job to do. How you supposed to pay them? You know what I mean? Like everybody, I'm gonna get into it because I don't want to jump the gun. So we gonna get some deep stuff. All right, so let's go to Leviticus chapter 27 and let's start at 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When a man shall make a singular vow, the person shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. By who? If a man make a vow to the Lord, then what? The persons shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. By whose estimation? The priest's estimation. And then what was their estimation? Their estimation was whatever was what is it called? Salakia, the shekel of the sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? The 10%. That's what their estimation was. And it said, and thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old even to 60 years old, and thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver after the sanctuary. So it's according to thy estimation, it's supposed to be 50 shekels of silver after the shekel of thy sanctuary. You understand that? That's the payment to the priest. Why? Because the priest has a salary. You don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? But you will pay that Christian pastor though with no problem. Let me read that again. It said, and thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old even unto 60 years old. Even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver after the shekel of the sanctuary. You understand? This was the payment to the priest. And what was it set at? The shekel of the silver, which was 50 shekels of silver. All right. And it's no difference from now. Like when you got a job, like the priests, them being priests was their job. And like I said, that was them getting 10% was their inheritance. Why? Because what is inheritance according to the Bible, according to scriptures? An inheritance is land. They wasn't given any land. So guess what? The Lord said, you gonna get a tenth part from every tribe because you wasn't given any land. You know what I'm saying? That was the priest, and the priest had a salary, and that this shekel of the sanctuary, according to their estimation, was their payment. That was their payment. And like I said, it's no different from you having a job today and you being in the union and have to pay union fees. I know it's a lot of brothers out there that got a job through the union. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of sisters out there that got a job through the union driving buses and, you know what I mean, being a secretary and all that. You know, and you have to pay a union fee. There's no difference. You understand? Verse 3. And thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old. Ebo Kai just read that. You know what I'm saying? And the shekel of and it's talking about the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel of the sanctuary has weight. And guess what? That weight in that shekel, it might vary. You know what I'm saying? It might be different in another city. The shekel the shekel of the sanctuary might be 50 shekels and that might be the payment. But when you go to another city or another country, that might be different, and that's why you have money exchangers. This is literally where money exchangers come from. So don't read the story about Christ kicking people out of the temple because there was money exchangers. That's not why he kicked them out. He kicked them out because they were stealing. They wasn't exchanging the money right. They wasn't getting 10% or 50 shekels of silver. They was getting more. They was valuing something like Carfax, and then they was telling, okay, you know what, this is worth 420, but really I'm gonna tell them it's worth 470, and I'm gonna take the money off the top. That's what they was doing. You understand? Or I'm gonna tell them it's worth 420, but really it's worth this much, and I'm gonna just steal some money so I can get rich. They was doing exactly what your Christian pastor does. You understand? But the shekel has a weight, and that weight might vary depending on where you was at. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep getting it. Where we supposed to go? What was we just at right now? Okay, let's keep going to verse 5. And if it be a female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels. So you had a different estimation for a man and a woman. And if Slakia, verse 5, and if it be from 5 years old even unto 20 years old, then thy estimation shall be of the male 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. All right, and then it started to get repetitive, so we're gonna drop down a little bit, right? So let's go to verse 8. It said, but if he be poorer than thine estimation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall value him according to his ability. Shall the priest value him, right? Because you had the priest that would judge you, and they would say, okay, man, he doesn't have a job, he don't work. They don't want to put a burden on you that you're not really able to take on. They will say, well, you have to pay this set amount. That's the law, period. No, that you had righteous men that was above you. So okay, you know what, you can't pay that. You know what I mean? So okay, can you pay this much? I know you can pay this much. So you can't pay $500. I know you can pay $100. You know what I mean? And that's what I said. It said what? It said, but if he be poorer than thine estimation, meaning that he can't pay that estimation that's according to the sanctuary or according to his estimation, he can't pay it. So what? Then he shall present himself to the priest, right? He shall present himself before the priest. Why? Because the priests were the judge. They were the judges, and the priest shall value him according to his ability. That thou shall the priest value him, right? And they should say, okay, you ain't able to pay this much, but you can pay this much. So let's make that happen. You know what I mean? And it said in verse 9, and if it be a beast whereof men bring an offering unto the Lord, all that any man giveth of such unto the Lord shall be holy. And verse 10, he shall not alter it, nor change it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the in exchange thereof shall be holy. Right. And they say you're not supposed to change it. Whatever the shekel of the sanctuary is, whatever the priest's estimation is, you don't change it. You ain't supposed to change it. You know what I mean? You're supposed to keep it exactly like how it is, unless you are poor and you have to go before the priest and then they value you and see that you're really not able to pay this. You know what I'm saying? But it's supposed to be even, and this is the economy that we set up to help each other. Like the oppressor, like he don't like the Jewish man. He started the banking system in America, right? And guess what? He got that same banking system that he started. He got that from the Bible. We reading it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, if I borrow some money from you, whoever's watching, you understand? If I borrow some money from you, then guess what? I have to pay that. If I borrow $500 from you, then guess what? I gotta pay. You can't say, oh man, you've been owing me for how long? You gotta give me $550 now. You can't do that. You know what I mean? And if I borrow money from you, I can't. I mean, you borrow money from me. You borrow $500 from me. I can't say, you know what, you owe me $525. You owe me $550. You understand why? Because it said it's supposed to. It said, "In the exchange thereof shall be holy." It said, "A good for a bad, or a bad for a good." And it shall, and it's like, and if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the exchange thereof shall be holy. It's supposed to be even. We ain't supposed to get over on each other. You know what I mean? Because guess what? And that's what America do. They put us in debt. We owe goddamn fast track. We owe IRS. We owe SMUD, PG&E, the car note, the rent. We got to then rob Peter to pay Paul. And the society that we was creating is that you won't get over on your brother. If he owe you 500, then he just owe you 500. If you owe him $80, you just owe him $80. You can't add interest to it, because guess what? If you add interest to that, then guess what? He's gonna forever be in debt to you. So then he's gonna never stop working for you. And that's why we created this society back then. You know what I mean? Because you don't want your brother working for you because you keep raising the price, putting him further in debt. That's some brotherhood. But that's what this country does. You understand? You know who that guy got that from? That got that from us. Because according to the scripture, you could do that. You just can't do it to your brother. You see what I'm saying? So let's see. I think we at 11. Where we at right now? Leviticus the 27th. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to 11. And if it be any unclean beast of which they do not offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, then he shall present the beast before the priest. Right, and this is talking about. This is talking about. Was it fair? What's it called again? Let me go back and look at that. Yeah, Carfax. Just talking about appraisals, man. That's what it's just talking about. It said, and if it be any unclean beast of which the Lord did not offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, then it shall it's like then he shall present the beast before the priest. Verse 12. And the priest shall value it, right? He shall appraise it. He's gonna value it. You bring this to him. It's no different from a car appraisal. You trying to sell your car on Kelly Blue Book. You know, so you put your car on Kelly Blue Book, and they say, what do they say? Okay, man, you had this 2015 car. It's 2015. You know what I'm saying? You got 80,000 miles on it. This car is roughly around this amount of money. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing, but back then, like for example, it's about an unclean animal. What's an unclean animal? Unclean animal is a horse. You understand? And you know, back then you look at a horse, and you know, not back then, even right now, you can tell how old a horse is by its gum line, by how long the teeth is on the horse. You can tell how old the horse is, right? And the priest, they're going to look at this horse and see, okay, it got short teeth or it got long teeth, and the gums is back. Because this horse is old, this horse is young. They're going to value that horse, and they're going to say, you know what, this horse is worth this amount of money. You know what I'm saying? That's how much this horse is worth. All right? That's why I said unclean beast. And they're not supposed to get over on you. You understand? They're supposed to keep the price high, however much it's worth in value, and then they're supposed to add their 10% or whatever the shekel of the sanctuary is, according to their estimation. That's how much they add onto it. And it said, and it's like verse 12, and the priest shall value it, whether it be good or bad, as thou valuest it. Who art the priest, so shall it be. Right, and the priest supposed to value it, and they're not supposed to value it like a goddamn car salesman. Somebody that's trying to sell you a car, like they know the damn car ain't worth nothing, but they gonna say it's worth something. You understand? Because they want to get some money from you. The priest is supposed to be righteous and value it however much it's worth. All right, so let's keep reading. Verse 13. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a fifth part thereof into thy estimation. Right, redeem it meaning what? If he gets it, if he buys it, then he's supposed to add what? A fifth part according to thine estimation. He's supposed to add a fifth part onto. So if it's 400, now it's 420. You understand? Now it's 410 according to thine estimation. Whose estimation? The priest, because he just did an appraisal on it. He just valued the whole car. He valued the whole house or the horse or whatever it is that you're selling. He valued it. You understand? Because you can't bring anything. Because we just read about when it said that the journey be too long, it turned into money. Why? Because if you bring something that's not worth nothing, that the priest can't use, and it's not, it has no value, so they can't use it. You know what I mean? Let's keep reading. And it said, verse 13. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a fifth part, therefore, unto thy estimation. And when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad. As the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand. Right? Even if you're selling a house, the priest supposed to estimate your house and see, man, this house is worth what? You know what I mean? A lot of y'all think that we were in this little sidebar. A lot of y'all think we was just living in tents. That we had houses too. You know what I mean? We just stand in tents. You know what I'm saying? We would stand in houses built in stone and wood and all that. You know what I mean? But they're supposed to estimate your house and tell you how much your house is worth. If your house is worth $1,000, now it's worth $1,020. You know what I mean? Let's keep reading. Okay, and if he that sanctifieth will redeem his house, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thine estimation unto it, and it shall be his. You see that? Read it again. And if he that sanctified it will redeem his house, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thine estimation to it, and it shall be his. Right? You're supposed to add the fifth part of that your estimation to it, and it should be his. And it said, verse 16, and if a man shall sanctify unto the Lord some part of a field of his possession, then thine estimation shall be according to the seed thereof. And homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. Right. And then, you see what I'm saying? So this is going to keep talking about, so like it's going to keep talking about commerce, man. It's going to keep talking about money and the value and the estimation of something. You understand? And what is it worth? It said, shall be according to the seed thereof, and homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. Right? Why? Because food is not tithes unless you sell it and it becomes an industry or something and you get some money from it. But other than that, just having fruit is not tithes. It's not what you pay the Lord with. Not what you pay the priest with. You understand? Like, you can't pay the priest, because then guess what? If you pay the priest in horses and in barley and in corn and in grapes and in food, then guess what? That priest that you're paying, he's gonna have to become a farmer now, because you didn't pay him in land, you didn't pay him in vineyards and grapes and, you know what I'm saying, and fruit. So now he has to become a farmer. So then guess what he's not doing? He's not being a priest anymore. You understand? That's why it's his job to be a priest, and that's why he has a salary. His salary is what? A tenth part, and according to thine estimation. All right, let's keep reading. But if he sanctify his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall reckon unto him the money according to the years that remain, even until the year, so like even until the year of Jubilee, and it shall be abated from thine estimation, right? Because we had a year of forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Where people forgave your debt. All right. Verse 19. And if he that sanctified the field, so like, and if he that sanctified the field will in any wise redeem it, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thine estimation into it, and it shall be assured unto him. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because he's buying this field. Field is worth money. He's buying it with money. He's not trading you. Oh, you got a field for sale. I got a whole field of tomatoes. You got a field of grapes. Let's just trade fields. No. And guess what? The priest don't want that. The priest wants to turn it into money so we can have an economy. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. And like I said, man, half y'all who be talking on that garbage, Y'all don't even grow nothing anyways to give to anybody. Let's keep going on this chapter. Let's go to 25. And all thine estimations shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary. 20 gerahs shall be the shekel. So whatever appraisals that you give, or whatever that their ox worth, or their field is worth, or their house is worth, or their horse is worth, you supposed to do what? And all thine estimation shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary. 20 shekels. That's what it is. Let's keep reading. Only the firstling of the beast, which shall be the Lord's firstling, no man shall sanctify it. Whether it be ox, sheep, it is the Lord's. And if it be of an unclean beast, then he shall redeem it according to thine estimation, and shall add a fifth part of it thereunto. Or if it be not redeemed, then it shall be sold according to thine estimation. Be redeemed, right? Meaning if somebody wanted, then it shall be sold according to your estimation. Whatever you value that at, that's how much you can sell it for. But then add the fifth part too. You understand? Because that's you a priest. That's what you're supposed to get. Like, so if you got a job, like a lot of y'all, man, we don't have our own land. We ain't got to pay tithes. No, but you got a job though. You got a goddamn job. You work for somewhere for your person. So guess what? If you got a job and they paying you $600 a week, 60 of that belongs to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? 60 of that belongs to the priest. It belongs to the Lord. You know what I mean? All right, so it's like where we at right now. Let's keep going. Verse 28. Notwithstanding no devoted thing that a man shall devote unto the Lord of all, a man shall devote unto the Lord all that he hath, both of a man and beast, and of the field of his possession, shall be sold or redeemed. Either devoted thing is most like it. Every devoted thing is most holy unto the Lord. Can you read? None devoted which shall be devoted of men shall be redeemed, but shall surely be put to death. Okay, let's jump to 31. Let's go jump to 30. And all of the tithes of the land, whether of the seed of the land or the fruit of the tree, is of the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add thereunto the fifth part of it. Right. Because it's turning that, it belongs to the Lord because you're turning it into money. You know what I mean? All right, so let's drop that. And because now that's talking about the priesthood for the Levites, right? So now let's go to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1. And let's get why this is so important. Hebrews 7 and 1. Also, man, make sure you put your name, city, and state. Like and share the class, Baruch Kasha. All right. So now let's get it. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham, returning from the slaughter of kings, and blessed him. Right. So this is Melchizedek giving an appearance, right? And let's keep reading. Verse 2. To whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all. First being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. And look at all these is titles. That's all these are titles. And what did it say Abraham did? It said Abraham paid Melchizedek 10%. He paid him a tenth part, meaning he paid him 10%, right? Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of days, but made like unto the Son of God, and abideth a priest continually. So now we talking about Abraham paying tithes. Abraham, the patriarch of Israel, he paid tithes to Melchizedek before we had any Levitical priests. So For brothers and sisters out there that think that they don't have to pay tithes, you understand? Are you saying that you better than Abraham? Is that what you saying? Because Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. Now we're gonna get into why. About it a priest continually. Verse 4. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils. You see that? Abraham paid 10% to Melchizedek before we even had priests. You know what I mean? And if you don't know, Abraham and Lot were, you know what I'm saying? They defeated all these different kings, and they took all the spoils and got all these riches, and that's what Abraham paid at 10% with. He didn't pay at 10% of fruit and barley and herbs and all that. You know what I mean? You think Abraham went and robbed somebody and took fruit from them? No, he took gold and silver. He took money from them, and guess what? He paid that money to 10% to Melchizedek. You know what I mean? And him and Lot both won these wars against these heathen kings, right? And then they end up getting into they servants end up having disputes with each other because of a lack of brotherhood. And then Abraham understood brotherhood. Abraham was like, man, look left and right, man. We own all this. All this is ours. You know what I mean? But Lot wasn't trying to hear it. So he's like, man, you go your way, I'm gonna go. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. And then they split, and that's how Lot ended up getting, I think, conquered by these other kings. And then Abraham went and defeated the kings and captured and saved Lot. But let's keep reading. All right, verse 4. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils. And verily, they that are the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. So it said, verily they that are the sons of Levi, right? Meaning the people that came after Levi, his sons. You know what I'm saying? They had a commandment to take tithes from the people, from their brethren. You know what I'm saying? They said, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. You know what I'm saying? And then guess what? They gotta come to, and they gotta take tithes from the people, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. Let's keep reading, see what he's talking about. But he who descent is not counted from them receive tithes from Abraham, and bless him that have the promise. You see that? And they're saying the priesthood was given to the Levites, and Levites was taking the 10% from the people, from their brothers, because this is what the Lord commanded them to do, because they wasn't given an inheritance. But it said what? It said, but he whose descent is not counted from them, him, because Melchizedek, he was not an Israelite. He was not a Levitical priest. But Abraham paid tithes to him. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes from tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. Who had the promises? Abraham had the promises, right? And he said, and without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. Verse 8. And here it's like, and here men that die receive tithes, but there he received them, of whom it is witnessed that he is alive. Right? And he received tithes from Abraham, like we read. And it said, and as I may say, so Levi also, whom received tithes, paid tithes to Abraham. It's like it paid tithes in Abraham. Even look at Levi is supposed to be the priest. You know what I mean? And guess what? They paid tithes through Abraham, right? It said, for he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. Look at the Levites, before anybody was paying the Levites any type of tithes. Guess what? Abraham paid tithes. He paid it 10%. What it say? And as I may say so, Levi also, whom received tithes, paid tithes in Abraham, for he was yet in the loins of his father when Salakia. Yeah, he was in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. Right. Abraham paid tithes before we even had any Levitical priests that we had to pay tithes to. You understand? Abraham paid tithes, letting you know that this law, the changing, it's a changing of the guard. You know what I mean? The law is changing. We went from having to pay the priests of tithes to now we under the order of Melchizedek, and we have to pay the priests under the order of Melchizedek. He said, for he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? Right, because Aaron was a high priest. Aaron was a high priest. So what does it say? I'm going to read it again. And therefore perfection whereby the Levitical priest, for under it the people received the law. Right, under the Levitical priesthood, we received the law of how to pay tithes and who to pay tithes to. What further need was there that another priest should rise after order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Isaac? So why is it another priest? Why is it another priesthood rising up, and we don't have to pay tithes to Aaron and the tribe of Levi anymore, who were the priests? For the priesthood being changed, that's why, because the priesthood changed, the law changed. Now we entered the changing of the guard changed to where now we paying tithes to a different priesthood, right? And it's like, you know, also that we all were supposed to be priests, not just the Levites. All black, Hispanic, Native American Indian men were supposed to be priests. All right. For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessary a change also of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaining to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. Right, because Melchizedek didn't come from any tribe. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. Right, because Christ came from, isn't Christ a high priest? Christ is a high priest. And guess what? He didn't come from Judah. I mean, he's a Judite. That's why I said, what? And it said, and it is yet, Slakia, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood, because the priests were the Levites. But Christ is a high priest, is he not? He comes from the tribe of Judah, but he's a high priest. You understand? Who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. For he testifieth, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. See, now look, it's like it's changing of the guard, like I said. Now we are priests under the order of Melchizedek. So even though Christ he didn't come from the tribe of Judah, he is a high priest now because of the order of Melchizedek. Even though we don't come from the tribe of, it's like, even though we don't come from the tribe of Levi, we are high priests. You don't have to come from the tribe of Levi to be a high priest anymore, or to be a priest regardless. You understand? Because it was a changing of the guard. You know what I mean? So let me ask you, and guess what? Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. You know what I mean? So you think you don't have to pay tithes? You think you're better than the patriarch Abraham? And guess what? And if the priesthood is still around, because this is the New Testament, we're not in the Old Testament anymore. So if we still have a priesthood, if this law still endure, and the law endure forever, then guess what? The priesthood endure forever. So if you're not paying tithes, so you don't have any priest that you're paying tithes to, then you sinning against God. You are absolutely breaking the law. And like the scriptures say, you offended one, you offended all. You know what I mean? But I understand. You growing tomatoes in the backyard, y'all gonna cook with them later or some garbage. I definitely understand. All right, so and the precept for us being a priest forever is in Psalms chapter 110. All right. And and we see. Let me get Nehemiah 13 and 10. Let's get Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 10. All right. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 10. And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them, for the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled every one to his field. And that's exactly what y'all want to do. Everybody want to do their own thing. You understand? And it said, verse 11, then contended I with the rulers and said, why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place. Then brought all Judah the tithes of the corn and of the new wine and the oil into the treasuries. Right? Why? Because they was bringing it to the treasuries, to the money exchangers. They changed it into money. And I made treasurers over the treasuries. Shelemiah the priest and Zadok the scribe, and the Levites Pedadiah, and next to them was Hanan, the son of Zakur, the son of Mattathiah, Ananiah, for they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute unto their brethren. Right, because like I said, what does the tithes go to? The tithes go to widows and the fatherless. It goes to the people. You understand? And what did it say? And it said, then brought all Judah the tithe of the corn and of the new wine and of the oil into the treasuries. Right, man, you got all that money and that corn and that oil. That turned into money because they exchanged it. They didn't just give the priest corn and oil and barley and all that. Because like I said, if you give the priests all that, then guess what? Then they become farmers. So then they don't have they can't they their job as priests and dealing with matters and judging the people, they're not able to do that anymore. You understand? They're not able to do that no more because they're too busy being farmers. And that's why they have a salary of what they supposed to get paid. Why are y'all not understanding this? Let's go to Acts 4 and 31. Acts chapter 4, verse 31. All right. Acts chapter 4, verse 31. And when they had prayed, and the place was shaken, where they were assembled together, and they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and they spake the word of God with boldness. Right, this is all the people together, right? And it's saying the multitude of them that believed were one of heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things in common. You see that? They like that, and that's what we do in ISBK, man. Like we don't never just say, oh, you know, this, I'm teaching on ISBK Sacramento class, but guess what? Any brother can teach on this class. We teach Sabbath service. You see them scrolls on the table? Can't nobody say, yeah, them is my scrolls. I mean, them belong to everybody. You know what I mean? We got everything in common. We ain't saying, oh, yeah, this is my own stuff. In the verse 33, and with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Christ. I mean, the Lord Jesus, and gave grace upon them all. Neither was there any among them that lacked. For as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold. You see that? This is the we just read that in Leviticus, the 27th chapter. And if you sell your house, the priest is supposed to come value your house, appraise it, and say that it's worth this. You understand? And then add a fifth part according to the sanctuary, according to his estimation. So now we got a New Testament where brothers actually did that, and they're selling their house. And he said, "What? Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of land and houses sold them and brought the prices of the things that were sold." Who they bring it to? They brought it to the priest. Let's keep going. And laid them down at the apostles' feet. Why? Because the apostles are the priests now. Because like we just read in Melchizedek that we under the order of Melchizedek. And we read in Hebrews the 7th chapter that we under the priesthood of Melchizedek. So the Levites are not the only priests anymore. anybody that's Israel can be a priest, right? And laid them down at the apostles' feet, and distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. And Joseph, who by the apostle was surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, a Levite, and of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it, and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. What do you not understand? We're not taught. Listen, man. Tithes is not fruit and food. You don't know the Bible. You don't know what you're talking about. You understand? And then on top of that, you want to say that we not in our land. These brothers weren't in the land. You want to say, oh man, we ain't got no Levitical priests. We scattered. We through the four corners of the earth. We got right here in the Bible a Levite paying tithes to somebody that's not a Levite. You don't know the Bible. You don't know the Bible. I'm gonna read that again. And Joseph by the apostles was surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, a Levite, and of the country of Cyprus. So nor were we in the land. And this was a Levite paying tithes to somebody else. Having land, sold it, and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. And why did he do that? Because the apostles were the priests at the time. That's who were the priests. Not just Levi anymore. You know what I mean? It was a changing of the guard, like I said. All right. So now let's jump down. Let's get Acts. Let's get Acts chapter 5, verse 1. But a certain man named Ananias with Sapphira, his wife, sold a possession and kept back part of the price, his wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and brought a certain part and laid at the apostles' feet. So this is why Christ hated kicked the people out, the money exchangers out the temple, because they were stealing like this sister and her husband is doing. They sold their house, and instead of giving the Lord 10%, or paying the 10% to the priesthood, guess what they did? They took that and they gave whatever they wanted to give to the priest. All right. But Peter said, Ananias, why have Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost, and to lie to the Holy Spirit, and to keep back part of the price of thy land? Right. So he asked him, like, well, what did you lie? Why you lying to the Lord? I mean, he said, whilst it remained, was it not thine own? And look at that. Guess what? He's not saying that he's God. You understand? He's not saying he's God, but guess what? You have to understand, it's men on this planet that are a representation of God. They represent Him because He's not here, like physically how we here. They represent Him. So it's not Him saying He God, but He's saying, like, we represent the Lord. Like, you gonna lie to the Lord? You know what I mean? He said, while it remaineth, was it not thine own after it was sold? Was it not in thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God. And like I said, why is he saying you lied unto God? Because you got men on this earth that are a representation of God. You better find out who those men are. And if you don't know, I'm gonna tell you, the ISUBK are those men. We are a representation of God. You understand? We are His representation. Slakia. Verse 5. And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost. And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And guess what? He lied and he stole from the Lord. And guess what? He died on the spot. He gave up the ghost, meaning that he died. And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after, when his wife, not knowing was done, came in. So 3 hours later, after they get done burying him, what happened? And Peter answered unto her, tell me whether ye sold the land for so much. And she said, yeah, for so much. Then Peter said unto her, how is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then then fell she down straightway at the feet, and yielded up the ghost. And the young men came in, found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. Look, it's a dangerous game, man, to be out here lying, bro, not paying tithes, man. You understand? It's a dangerous game. We just seen the Lord just put to death his brother and his wife. They just died. Lord killed them. You understand? And like the scriptures say, you offended one, you offended all, man. So don't the law of not eating pork, and to keep the law of not shaving your beard off, or showing your breast and showing being half naked. You know what I'm saying? Keep all the law, especially tithes. Why? Because it belongs to the widow and the fatherless. And this is how you build a nation. Like, you have no problem with paying the government, but you don't want to pay the government of Israel. And the government of Israel is the IHBK. You understand? But with that being said, I'm in the class. I had a few more precepts, but so we got to start this podcast. Tawada for tuning in, like and share the class. Y'all watch some trouble out on brothers. You house them on Tawada, shout out to sisters. Shalom.